Hi everybody! As you can see, we've moved away from Colouring Heaven today. We're going to be colouring a picture by Zan von Zed. And again, I'm working on a bit of a challenge today from one of the Facebook groups that I belong to. And the challenge is to colour a fictional character. I do have quite a few books which actually have fictional characters in, but just picking a page that was of a fictional character to start with, this is me, that would have been a bit too boring, I think. I like to challenge myself a little bit. So my idea was to pick a page that didn't actually start out as being a fictional character and change it to be a fictional character by adding a few bits, maybe changing some accessories or something to do with the picture, just adjusting it to actually be a fictional character. And I really was in the mood for colouring Zan von Zed, so these are the two books that I do have. Ladies' Leisure, this is 2, this is number 1. And I wanted to colour a Zan von Zed lady. And if you remember last time I did colour a Zan von Zed lady, I changed her. I traced her out of the book and just did all my changes on paper to make things a little bit more easier for myself. But this time I wanted to keep the picture actually in the book, and any changes I make will actually be in the book, trying to work with this Amazon paper, which I think works okay with markers and pencils, so I'm going to be sticking with that for the most part. And my original idea was from this book here. I'll show you the lady that I did choose from this book here. There we go, it would have been this lady here. And I would have been changing her to be Rapunzel, keeping her with the Disney kind of theme of Rapunzel, maybe bringing in Pascal just to sit on her shoulder there. But that would be a pretty easy change. She is in a kind of Rapunzel type outfit there. The dress is very, very similar to the Disney style Rapunzel, which was what I would have been going for. So all it would have been doing is colouring her in the colours for Rapunzel. So if anybody does have this book and they want to do a fictional character challenge, this would be really easy to change to Rapunzel. There's no need to bring in Pascal on the shoulder there, just colouring her with the purple dress, giving her the blonde hair and the flowers. That would be Rapunzel straight away. But for me, this is me, and I'm not really happy unless I'm challenging myself. So I thought, well, that's really easy. Kind of try and find something that would be a little bit more complicated, a bit more interesting, maybe a bit more entertaining to get my teeth into. So what I did actually decide to end up doing is go for this book here. This is the Ladies of Leisure, the first one I think just called Ladies of Leisure. I've picked a lady out of this book here, and we're going to be working on this lady here. And I have no idea if this is going to work. I do have a kind of vague plan going on in my head, but when I was first flipping through this book looking for a lady I could change a little bit maybe, I came across this lady here, and she really, really reminded me of Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games. So this is what we're going to be changing this lady to. Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games. She is a fictional character both in books and in films. And I wanted to base the idea of this lady, how to change her, on the actual last Hunger Games films, or the last set of 2, the Mockingjay films, where she does have her black outfit and she's working against the Capitol as kind of the Mockingjay. And I wanted to base it quite a lot on the movie kind of poster. I don't really want to put it up on screen because I don't want to be getting any copyright shouts or anything. But yeah, we all know the art, the cover art for the Hunger Games DVDs, with the fiery background and the Mockingjay symbol, because I really liked the way that they had this Mockingjay symbol put into the background, making it look as if the bird's wings were actually part of Katniss herself, while still being part of the Mockingjay symbol. So I really want to be bringing that into it, and I do have a little bit of an idea. I'm not entirely sure it's going to work, but we'll see. Once we get onto that, we get onto the end with when I start working on the background, I want to bring in a little bit of collage there, maybe get that Mockingjay symbol coming in the background there. But for now I'm going to start with the kind of easier bits, just adjusting this lady to actually look like Katniss. The figure herself and her hairstyle there is very, very reminiscent of Katniss's style in the Mockingjay kind of films, and she does have the beginnings of kind of a jumpsuit going on here. I'm not entirely sure I could adjust this to make it look more like a jumpsuit and less like a skirt, but that is something else that I could actually be working on and thinking about. I haven't completely planned because, again, this is me. I don't have completely concrete plans. I kind of go with the flow, see what I can make happen as we go along. So I will move us in and we will start work on this lady here. Okay, I've zoomed us in a little bit there and gotten myself a coffee because this is going to be an in for the long haul kind of deal today. And I think the first thing I need to do is work on the adjustments that I want to put in for this picture, because our little Katniss here, She does carry a bow and arrow, so I want to give this lady a bow, maybe coming in here. That's on screen. I have lowered my camera so I can actually see whether I'm on screen or not, hopefully this time. Is to give her a bow, which hopefully I want to put in coming from this hand here to show that she is holding a bow. And I'm going to try and change this on the back of her jacket here. I'm going to try and change that into a quiver, maybe put a couple of arrows in there. And we'll see how we can make that work. So first of all, I'm going to try and give her a bow. Just sketch her in with a pencil and just sketch it in, and then go over the lines. And then go over the lines with the fine liner, just to make it look as if it is part of the picture. And this lady did actually start out as Katniss, so I'm just going to give it the rough shape of a bow and arrow. I'm not going to try and be totally faithful to the movie. I'm just going to make it look as if she does have some sort of a bow going on here. Again, not realistic and not trying to be completely true to the movie, just making it look as if she does have some sort of a bow there going on, trying to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, I think we have something that kind of approximates a bow there. I'm pretty sure that's not how you would carry a bow. I'm just hoping that at least it gives the impression that this lady here does have a bow and arrow. I'll just bring those lines in a little bit. I will be covering or cutting out this background here, so any kind of wonkiness that goes on there isn't really much of a problem. We just want to make sure that it does look as if this girl does have a bow and arrow, so I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to say, yep, that's my bow there. So I'm just going to go over these lines with the Unipin fine liner. We're probably a little bit wonky there, but I have gone in and I've gone over the line art with the Unipin fine liner. So I'm just going to rub out the pencil lines now. That is our bow and arrow. Okay, that'll do me, I think. So I'm going to move up here now and try and make this look as if it is a quiver on her back. Sort of, somehow. It's a little bit of a weird shape to be working for. So I'm just going to be echoing the same shape on the other side to try and make that look intentional. This is the shape that a quiver actually is. There we go. Maybe give her a few arrows sticking out there. There we go. Again, not completely realistic. I'm no expert on bows and arrows or anything along those lines. We're just going for something that will give the impression that this girl is a Katniss Everdeen. So I've gone ahead and mirrored the shape of this handle here, just over to the other side, just to give the same shape. And we're going to make that look as if it is a quiver, hopefully. We're going to make this look as if it is a quiver, hopefully. We're going to give this a little bit of the fine liner just to go over these lines, give that a little bit of a curve there. And as I said, as for the arrows, I'm trying to keep these shapes fairly simple here because I am going to be possibly, I think the idea that I do have is to cut out this actual picture and collage in a background, as I have done a couple of times. I have to adjust the angle here on this one. As long as it looks something like it could possibly be some bow and arrow going on here, I'm happy. And I've carried on these lines here over to the other side to make those look as if they are supposed to be there. Make this into a little bit of a... make this into some sort of a seam or something along those lines there. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the pencil lines now. We would have to bring in, as she does have a quiver on her back there, we would probably have to bring in a bit of a strap here, so I'll just add that as well. Bring in the fine liner, and I've tucked the epaulette on her jacket there, and I've turned that into the strap for this quiver. In theory, this should work. Might have to adjust that line there of her collar. It's all winging it and playing it by ear. Just hoping that this idea will actually work. I think it will. If it turns out the way that I am seeing it in my head, then yeah, it will work. It will be awesome if it works the way that it's working in my head. But things don't always turn out the way that we do want them to turn out. And because this is drawn over the top of the background there, rather than draw on a separate piece of paper and actually stick it on, which is another option. We could have just completely ignored what was already there in the picture. We could have ignored that and just drawn this quiver onto a separate piece of paper and stuck it on the top, in which case that could be any shape, any way we wanted it to be. But as I'm trying to work as much as possible in the book, I am probably going to be cutting out this background here, but I want to work as much as possible in the actual book with the paper that's in the book, so I have gone ahead and just drawn that on there. And because we are over the top of this kind of town drawn in the background, what I thought might work, might not, I have no idea. But I thought maybe I could bring in the acrylic markers to colour these bits that have gone over the top of our background there. Trying really hard to keep in frame this time. I'm not entirely sure what colour we would be going for with those though. Should we keep with brown? Let me just check the actual movie art. Okay, I've just been and had a really quick check of the cover art and it seems to be everything's black. That's going to be quite interesting to colour. Everything is actually black, or seems to be a really dark brown as a base colour, but definitely heading more towards the black. And I do want to have kind of a fiery sort of glow coming from this side of the page, because Katniss is, her nickname turns out to be the girl on fire, and fire is involved quite a lot in the cover art for the DVDs or any kind of movie box art. So I'm thinking, that what I want to do is to maybe use a dark brown, or at least a kind of warm grey, when I bring in the alcohol markers. So for this acrylic marker, maybe a brown would be the best choice. Let me see what kind of brown we have. We have that brown. If I can show that on camera, we have that kind of brown. And we have the more reddy brown. I'm thinking the more reddy brown, if we do want to bring in the kind of fiery glow that I want to have happening down this side of the page, maybe a yellow kind of glow happening there. So I'm going to take this kind of reddy brown and I'm going to use that as a base for most of what is going over the top of this village here. And hopefully go over any of that unwanted kind of line art that we already had, almost off camera. I remember to check. Yeah, go over any of that unwanted line art, and I'm hoping I can go over the top of this acrylic marker. I haven't actually tried these out in a colouring book or anything like that, but I'm hoping we can go over the top, maybe shade it with pencils, because they don't seem to be as shiny as my other set. And they do, unfortunately, seem to be tearing up this paper a little bit, because this is Amazon paper. And not the best, not the thickest. I have no idea which country this was made in. The British Amazon paper doesn't tend to be very good, and the German Amazon paper I found doesn't tend to be very good. Oh, I don't know why I'm using that as a guide there. We're getting rid of that line art. Okay, we may be making this into the brown. I'll bring the brown in before the strap on this quiver as well. Okay, I'm going to bring that in probably for the bow as well. But again, the bow, it's completely black in the movie picture I looked at. So I'm really going to have to try and darken that. But this is about, unless I used a really bright blue or a light grey, I think this is about the best colour that I can find to be a warm kind of background for this black colour that we're going to end up using. And we'll be able to make that work. So there we go. For the arrows, Not entirely sure if I should bring in the grey for those arrows to make those look a little bit different. I'm taking a lot of artistic license here. And I'll just show if I can. Put that on the screen. I have 2 greys in this set. Oh no, I have 3 greys. This is that's the darkest grey. That one does have the brush tip. This one has the brush tip. And we have this one with the kind of bullet tip there. And I'm thinking maybe to go with this darkest grey here. And do those arrows. Again, in the movie picture are all black, but I want to bring in a few different varieties of shades, at least a kind of an undertone, to make each area look a little bit different, so like she's not all solid black. But I don't have many options for covering up the line art, unfortunately. The other option would maybe be acrylic paint, but I'm really not feeling in the mood to get out the acrylic paint and start trying to mix the colours that I need. So we're going for the markers. Okay, yeah, all right. I can live with it. Hopefully I can work with that. Add in a little bit of line art on top of there, so it does look as if it was drawn in the actual picture. And I'm going to be a little bit daring here. Try and find a pale yellow. What might work is this cream colour that I have used before. Yep, and I'll maybe use this cream colour here to see if we can bring in a little bit of a warm highlight down this side, which I can hopefully work back into with pencil. It's not the most opaque, this cream colour one. I have used it before. Okay, maybe a little bit down the side of this strap. We're going to have the glow coming in. We're going to have the glow coming in down this whole side if it works. If it does work the way that I'm hoping it will. And there we go. That's not looking too bad. Hopefully I can come in and, as I said, shade that with the pencils. Bring in the black Polychromos, maybe some darker shades of brown there. A little bit of cool grey maybe, see if I can adjust that colour very slightly. I don't want to really take it towards the bluey greys because then this highlight may be a little bit too jarring if I do bring that in, but we'll see how we go. So I'm going to switch over to the alcohol markers now and just base in the rest of our lady here, the rest of our figure, before I bring in the alcohol markers and start just basing this lady. I'm going to try and change this line art slightly because in the movie Katniss just wear a jumpsuit. She doesn't wear the skirt. I can maybe bring in, take a little bit of artistic license, bring in a little bit of the lace there because this picture does feature the lace quite a lot. So this part here, not quite so bad. Was it the kind of reddy brown I used? I think it was this brown. We'll just get rid of that little bit of a skirt there. And as we're going to be cutting away this background, if we're working, as I see this working, we're going to just round that off to make it look as if she is wearing the jumpsuit here. And I'm hoping with a little bit of shading we can get rid of this line art here. If the paper isn't that great of a quality, we might be able to make it a little bit fainter by trying the eraser, although I don't want to go too crazy with that because Amazon paper might wear out a little bit there. And that's taking it down very, very slightly. Okay, so we're just working with the actual jumpsuit now. I've picked out a few markers which I think might work. I'm not entirely sure how I can get this lighting effect to be working, but I'm going to try a little bit of experimenting here, see if I can make it work. And I have picked out the lemon chiffon Ohuhu marker, but I know this one is actually running out, so I'm hoping it might work as much as I want it to for this. And for her skin tone, I have picked out, this is E090, that's eggshell white. I've picked that out for her skin tone, as Katniss isn't really totally pale. She's more of a tan colour. She does hunt out in the woods and stuff like that. So She is more of a tan colour. So I'm going to try and blend in the lemon chiffon, which isn't really working super well, and try and blend that in slightly with the eggshell white. So I've uncapped both of the markers here, and let's go for it. Let's see if we can make this work, at least enough for a little bit of a highlight down this side of her face. I'm not sure this one is working well enough to be doing any fancy blending techniques, so hopefully I can bring in the pencils to maybe compensate for that a little bit and just have this yellow glow down the edge of her skin. I'm hoping. Yeah, this jumpsuit, totally not the style of the movie jumpsuits, but we are just going for a bit of an impression, giving the idea that this is a Katniss Everdeen, so I'm hoping at the end that we will have something that at least reminds you of the movie poster. That is the plan. So we're bringing in this chiffon, yellow chiffon down here for our hand as well, which will be streaky. This eggshell white will be streaky because, my marker is giving up the ghost here. But I'm hoping with my skin tone shading we'll be able to work around that and make that work. I'm just hoping that this this yellow holds out, because I'm hoping that will be my kind of glow colour. That's her skin colour done. And I've picked out a few shades of brown. I'm going to be really kind of pushing the boat out here, really trying to test myself. I want to have this armour. I've looked again at the movie poster, and it is a brown. They've used a brown as a base for Katniss's armour, I think to reflect the fact that she does have the fire kind of happening in the background. She has a lot of fiery background with the Mockingjay symbol, which I think I've worked out how I'm going to do that. Hopefully not much drawing involved with that, so we shouldn't be dragging on too long. But as I was saying, for this jumpsuit I've picked out what I hope is a good kind of progression in brown colours. I have no idea if I'll be able to make this work, but we have the lemon chiffon there, which is Y030. Hopefully will blend into the sand, which is E220, then into potato brown, BR1, and finally into Y13, which is chestnut brown. And I will come in and shade on top of that with pencils. Hopefully make that work. But I wanted to have this yellow glow down the side because I do have a plan for the background that I'm hoping will work, that I really want that yellow glow to be coming through to give the impression I do have the fire in the background, reminiscent of the movie poster, not the same by any shorts. And as I did say, that I really don't want to bring in, she does have, let me see, can we adjust that? She does have kind of a shoulder pad area. I might be able to make that work with see if we can make that work with the pencil shading, give her some kind of padded shoulder armor sort of stuff going on, just to make it look a bit more like the movie sort of shoulder pads. And this part here that is off over into this town in the background, I'm going to be cutting away anyway. And over on this side, we're bringing in the lighter browns. To give that kind of, hopefully the impression of a sort of firelight happening. And the lighter colours are going to be mainly down this edge, or so I'm thinking and hoping. But this yellow, really is running out. I'm just hoping it will work for what I want it to. There'll probably be some sort of a white highlight as well down here. And the rest of all this line up and detail here, I'm going to try and just work into the jumpsuit sort of idea. As seams or something along those lines. Because when we're in the light side, like really in the kind of fire glow there, I don't think we're going to really be able to get rid of those. And yeah, no idea on if these are going to be able to be blended well enough or anything. I'm just jumping right in. So this is the sand colour here that I did in the middle. Try and give at least some semblance of a blend happening there. And I'll probably bring in the sand again down this very far edge here. Sand. Maybe we'll have a little bit of this potato brown creeping in, because we do want this jumpsuit to look as if it is dark, but we do want that firelight. And if I sound as if I know what I'm doing, then I really don't, guys. I really don't. I'm playing and seeing if this will work, and whatever happens is what you get as your video, because yeah, Friday is for filming, and whatever I get to film on the Friday, that is the video that you guys end up with. So if this doesn't work, then we'll have a lesson in how not to adapt your colouring page. But again, hoping that it does work. And let's see, we want to make this into kind of seams. So that could be more like that. We want these seams to be part of the armour, not a skirt at all. There was never a skirt there. We want these seams to be part of the jumpsuit armour. And over on this side of the page, I might be able to get away with the white gel pen to come in and adjust that a little bit. So from this yellow, again, we're moving into the sand. Maybe each section of different colour is going to be maybe the width of the chisel nib there, just to show that we are having a little bit of glow happening on that side. That side of the leg as well. And then into the potato brown, which is going to be the main body of the actual jumpsuit. Oh, don't tell me this one is running off out as well. Oh man, I do need another set of markers. This is making life a little bit difficult, but we will persevere. I'm being really messy with my edges there, but never mind. And here we're going into the darkest brown. Try and blend that more into the potato brown. So we will be bringing in another little layer of that pen, which might work to even out some of that sort of patchiness we're going to be having there. I think we'll bring in a little bit of sand down this edge here, because I do want to have a little bit of difference between where her hand goes behind her there, so I can bring in the darkest colour to maybe disguise that skirt that we had going on there, and maybe this little bit where the frilly part of her top comes in. We'll smooth that out like so. Again, making it look more like a jumpsuit, something like that. I'm hoping I can bring in the shading and even all that out, but this side of our arm here, bringing in the darkest brown to hopefully hide most, if not all, of the skirt and the frills and stuff we had going on down there. And we do have a few little wrinkles there we're going to try and work in. And the sand. Maybe a tiny little bit of this yellow. Okay, we have another kind of shoulder pad here. I think if maybe we keep in that part there, we can make that look like a shoulder pad. Just continue her hair alongside And she does have dark hair, so we should be able to work that in theory. So we'll bring in the one up for her hair around there. There we go. Might be able to shade over this here because her hair will probably be this dark brown, maybe worked on top of with the pencils. So for this collar here, we're coming in with this sand, potato brown. Let's maybe try and bring in that kind of firelight glow there we want to have going on. Sort of. I'm hoping maybe, yeah, once I come back in with the pencils, we can sort all this out and I will have it looking more like she is wearing a jumpsuit. I hope. So I'm going to try and keep colours down there fairly dark. Leave the lighter colours coming out because we're going to have her hair being that darker brown. I can adjust, again we can adjust with the pencils. I'm going to let the yellow come in there very, very slightly to give that impression that we do have the firelight. Into the sand. Potato brown. I might be overstretching myself a little much here actually. This is very difficult. I'm not super great at blending with markers, so please don't be taking this as a definitive, this is how you blend with markers, because it isn't. I'm really just winging this and just trying to make it work. There will be a lot of black pencil shading, I'm thinking, coming here. And white gel pen. I'm hoping I'm giving some sort of an impression this is Katniss Everdeen from the movie poster. Please, believe me, it is. Okay, her hair is really dark brown, pretty much black nearly, but again, we want to have that that fire glow coming in, so I'll bring in a little bit of the yellow, tiny bit of sand. Mainly this dark brown. I think we might need to again bring in that potato brown. The markers are bleeding somewhat on this paper, as it is just cheap Amazon paper. But I don't think it's anything we can't correct with the pencil shading on top. I'm going to bring in this darkest brown here, especially around there when I got my little adjustments going on. As Katniss is, she's not a frilly kind of girly girl. She is, yeah, tough, strong girl. So I don't really want a lot of the frills going on. And her jumpsuit in the actual film is, yeah, it's pretty, oh, what's the word? Plain, utilitarian. Everything's all black. So I don't really want too much of that lacy, sort of flowy stuff, if we can help it. Most of this I can possibly do with pencil, but yeah, having a little bit of fun with the markers here actually. I don't usually go in for the blending with markers and just colouring with markers, but I think we got something going on. We got a bit of something. Maybe not entirely as I envisioned it, but yeah, we definitely have a bit of something. I'll leave the very edges of her hair, these flyaway bits here, if I am on camera. Yeah, I am on camera. The flyaway bits of her hair there I'm going to leave for the pencils because those are pretty thin and I don't want to be smudging the ink marker all over the place. Will this marker work on top of the acrylic marker? Yes. That surprised me. I was expecting that to be a resounding no, but yeah, this seems to be working on top of the acrylic marker. I don't know if it will work with every kind of acrylic marker, but on those specific ones, then yes, that's working. Yeah, I can see that working. Yep. I will go ahead and fill in her eyes here because, yeah, we do need some pupils going on there, I think, and I'll put those in pretty early so that the ink has time to dry. That's about right, and I'll just fill those in with the Unipin fine liner. Just give that ink a little bit of a chance to dry before I go in and shade it with the pencils. That's about right. I realise I haven't done her eyebrows. I'll just pop those in with the potato brown, just to give me something to work with. Well, we've definitely got something going on there. It's time to bring in the pencils now and see what shading we can get going on with little Katniss there. See if we can tidy up that marker. Okay, I've brought out a few pencils here, just a few to start with, to see if I can get these darker areas working a little bit better. There's a good basis there, I think, but it needs a lot of work. So I've brought out a few pencils. There's a couple of cast lots there. That one is burnt umber, I'm pretty sure. This one, yep, again, oh, sepia. I can just about see that. Angling it to the light there, I can just about see that is sepia. But again, my colours are wearing off, and the ship has sailed on my first sets for painting with varnish, so I'll go with those. This is a really, really dark brown. The sepia is more of a reddish brown, and I thought maybe I could bring that in and get a little bit of this fire glow going on. I've also brought in the Polychromos black. Need to be getting myself another one of those, but I've brought in the Polychromos black, the white for down this edge, maybe bringing in a little bit of a shine to that jumpsuit if it really needs it. But I think the main one I'll be using is that black, because as I said, the box art mainly it is black with the fire, but the fire is turning the black into kind of the brown, giving it the reddish sort of warm undertones to it. So yeah, looking at the box art, we do have that red kind of brown colours coming in, so I wanted to bring those in. So let's see what we can do. As I said, not a tutorial as such here. We're just seeing what we can do to make this work. I'm going to leave the cuffs. That's not too much of a fancy detail, I think. Not so much of a fancy detail that we can't imagine it working. But we do want to keep really, really dark. And there is kind of a shine to it. I'm not entirely sure what a jumpsuit is made of in the Mockingjay films, but there is kind of a sort of, maybe a leathery sort of shine to it. And yeah, now we're working a little bit better there. That's more like the box art, I'm thinking. If my plan for the background works, that will be more red and yellow sort of colours, so we will look as if we do have some sort of fire glow happening. What is working? Let's try and bring in, just looking at the side on the table here, pencils I've actually been using. This is Camel Brown from Arteza. I'm thinking maybe that will blend the browns nicely into the yellow. Oh yes, yes. I do tend to get a little bit enthusiastic. You'll have to excuse me. I do like it when things start actually working. White along that edge, maybe along this edge as well. Yes, it's working, people. I do think this is going to work. Yeah, I think this is going to work. Although I am taking quite a few liberties. The costume is obviously nothing like this. We're just giving the kind of impression of the costume and the same sort of style as the box art to make this look as if it could be Katniss. Yep, this kind of camel brown sort of ochre colour is blending that yellow into the browns quite nicely. And this is reminding me a lot of the box art. Gonna have to thicken our line art in some places, I think. Mainly because I'm not very neat with my colouring with markers. I definitely need to thicken this line out here. I will bring in my customary white gel pen because yeah, this kind of suit does have a bit of a shine to it, and because I just like using white gel pen, so why not? Yep, I'm happy, kind of happy. This is looking pretty much just like the box art. This sort of feel, obviously not exactly like the box art because the line art we were working with, wasn't exactly the same. How many did we give it? 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we've got the same kind of shoulder pad action happening here. Might even, I think with the black seems to be working quite well on this paper. We might even just round that off completely there so that it matches the other side a little bit better. As we've gone so dark with the hair, we can go in and actually add in white highlights with the pencil, so I think that will work quite nicely. So we are keeping pretty graphic, I think. Not super realistic. I'm still trying to keep fairly monochrome. She will have minimal makeup as well. I don't think there's too much makeup going on the box art. Again, I will have to check. It looks that up online, and if anybody wants to go check what the box art looks like, it's pretty easy to just Google Hunger Games Mockingjay. For her hair, I don't think I'm going to be going super crazy with adding in details. I'm just going to give a little bit of a suggestion and keep her hair kind of as dark as possible with just the highlights with the white gel pen, just to show that we have got a little bit of a glow happening. Maybe even come in a little bit with that camel brown colour here to show that the light is reflecting there somewhat, especially over on this side. If I'm on camera, especially over on this side here, the light would be coming through a lot more there. We'd have a lot more of the white, I think. So I think, yeah, we'll keep her fairly monochrome. I did want to test actually whether we can shade on top of these markers. Yes, we can. Well, that's a bonus. My other set of acrylic markers, it was very hard to actually shade on top of them with pencil, but these it seems that you actually can, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Can we bring in this ochre colour? It's maybe not showing as well as it could, but it might give the impression that we do have that firelight once I put my background in. If we bring in, yeah, we need to kind of hide the fact that these markers were a little bit blobby here, so I'm bringing in the white highlights, which would probably be happening down that side anyway. We'll bring in the reddish brown. To keep it looking the same sort of thing going on as a costume, but make it a slightly different colour because we do want it to stand out. Of course, all black in the actual movie, brown on the box cover art, so I'm going with the brown. That seems to be working quite nicely. Trying very hard to keep on camera. I know I do fail at it quite often. Hoping it's not too much of an inconvenience. Most of the time I do tend to keep the clips actually in the video because I'm talking and explaining something that I'm happily doing off camera over here somewhere. So that's, yeah, not the greatest, but I'm trying. I'm really trying. We'll make these look like, they could be feathers, kind of, I'm not sure what they're called, the fletching bit of the feathers on the arrows here. Those were the black. I'll maybe bring in See if we can bring in a little bit of that yellow to show the fire's glowing there. Yep. Oh, I do tend to get a little bit excited. I'm sorry. I do tend to get a little bit excitable when an idea that I've had and I can see it's actually working. And yeah, I do get really kind of excitable when things start to happen. I'm like, oh yeah, I really do like it. But of course, things don't always work out. I do have things that just, I've tried something, it just hasn't worked and the picture's been abandoned. But yeah, I think most of the time you can at least make something out of it, even if it doesn't go exactly according to plan. You can make something happen. So most of the time you just trust the process, just go for it, and you do end up with something you can work with. I'm going to do these kind of shafts of the arrows with the fine liner. Leave a bit of a white highlight in the middle. There we go, just to make them look different from the actual feathers. And I'm going to make sure I've got a good line art line around the outside, because I'm going to be cutting this out if everything keeps going according to plan. Of course, I could come in with the background and completely ruin it. But fingers crossed, yeah, fingers crossed there that is not going to happen. And I'm going to have something that I can be happy with in the end. Thankfully, the lady herself is pretty small. Not a lot of colouring to go on here. We should be able to get this finished in the one day. I don't really like doing part 2 or 3 of videos unless it's a colour along. I'm colouring a whole picture, a more complicated one, as a colour along for you guys. I don't really like doing part 2 and 3 of videos, so if it does run on a bit, then I do apologise, but it's because I am trying to keep it just to the one part. Yeah, I'm happy. This is working. Yeah, just about how I wanted it to. I do need to go in and shade her skin still, but yeah, I wanted to make sure I could make this jumpsuit work before I went in and did her skin. But I think we are going to make this work. It's definitely getting there. So this side of her suit here, that's going to be much of a muchness, I think, altogether. We've seen how I've been coping with blending in this dark colour here down this side. We've seen her hair. Which is, yeah, being kept to kind of basic hair without too much strand lines or anything like that, because her hair is a pretty small part of the picture. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish shading at least this side of her jumpsuit. I'll probably come in with a little segment. Sounds really posh, doesn't it? A little segment showing how I'm coping with this side, blending in these lighter colours here to make the picture look kind of cohesive, look as if that light is shining onto her jumpsuit there. Might, yeah, bring in this cream. We have a cream and Polychromos here. That might bring in a little bit into her hair. So I'll just show you that quickly before I go ahead and finish off the jumpsuit. But yeah, I think that's one colour that I will be using when it comes down to blending in the light on the other side. But I'm pretty happy where it's heading, I think. So I'll go ahead and finish off this part of her jumpsuit, maybe show you how I'm coping with the light along this side of her face there, because we've seen mostly how I was coping with this side with these darker colours, and we've done the arrows, which I'm really pleased with. That looks super cool, and it fits in quite well with the rest of the picture. It looks as if it's meant to be there, so yeah, bonus. So I'll go ahead and finish off this side of her jumpsuit, figure out how I'm going to blend this side in, and then I'll come back to you and show you how I'm doing. Okay, I've gotten this far. I'm not quite ready to start shading that side yet, but I will get onto it in a minute. I've realised I have actually forgotten something, because Katniss does have her Mockingjay pin. She has a golden kind of a badge, lapel pin, kind of shaped like a Mockingjay. So I'm going to add this onto there. And I'm going to fill that in with this little gold Posca pen, which is really old and I've had for absolutely ages. I'm just going to sort of try and freehand that in with this gold Posca and see if we can get something that resembles the Mockingjay pin and looks something like it could be a bird. And drawing this in freehand with a Posca marker is not going to be amazingly easy, but that's looking something, right? Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. I'll give that a little minute to dry. Try and add in some line art to it. Okay, we are talking really, really small here. I don't think I'll be able to get in for any shading with the brown pencil as I would usually do, so I'll just add a couple of highlights there. It looks vaguely bird-like, and if anybody knows that this is kind of Katniss that we're doing here, people will know that's what it's meant to be from a distance. It reads like it could be some sort of bird, I'm hoping, so yeah, that will do. And I'll carry on with the shading now. Maybe I'll go ahead and just start working on this lighter side here. There we go. And some of you might notice that this colouring does look slightly different now, and that's because I brought in this passion fruit red pencil. I think it's from when I did my last video. I was using this passion fruit red, and that's because the background image that I want to bring in to make my background here, I'm going to try and collage in the background. That is the more kind of red and kind of a yellow, bright yellow, sort of fiery effect. So I wanted to try and reflect that into the colouring if I could. So I've brought in this red to try and show that red kind of glow we want to have happening here. I also brought in that gold Posca to do these gold kind of rivets here. They were actually in the line art, so I figured we might as well leave those as they were and just have them as gold rivets. Something along those lines, just to add to the kind of tough looking nature of the jumpsuit. There we go, a little bit of the white highlights, and again I'm getting distracted. I'm supposed to be working on the glow, but yeah, I'll add in a little bit of the white highlights there to that jumpsuit, and I'll go ahead and onto this glow. I have also got the cream Polychromos cream, and that is 102 that I've been using to try and blend in this yellow. Blending this yellow here into the ochre colour, but under her arm there would maybe be darker, so we would have some shadow of her arm coming there and the fiery glow, so we'll darken that. Shall we make that into a seam line? We could make that into a seam line, kind of work with the line art we've got going on here. Again, we'll probably have to round off this part here. That doesn't happen the other side, so yeah, I'll round off this part here when I cut off that edge. So we're just going to have a bit of a seam. Not entirely sure how the light would fall there, but we'll just have something that kind of looks like a seam. I think this would be darker this side, wouldn't it? I think, yeah, got a little bit wrong on the shading there. I think this would be the darker side, and we'd have the light hitting the edge of the seam there. There's another little rivet there, but I don't want to distract too much from our Mockingjay pin that she's got. Hopefully, if all goes according to plan, this will be kind of echoing what we got happening in the background, so that will be working quite well. There we go, just bringing a little bit of a shadow there. Let's try and get that light blending in a little bit better. So I'm bringing in this camel colour. Especially where we would have more of a shadow going there. Playing it by ear, not looking at the box art, aside from a couple of times when I've just gone to check stuff. Aside from a couple of times where I've just gone to check stuff, I'm not looking at the box art. So yeah, we'll bring that down there. We'll have a white coming along this edge. A little bit of shading we've got. I'll bring in this passion fruit red. Just going very lightly with that though, just to bring a touch of the red into the actual costume, because the background kind of fiery image that I want to be using, if my idea works. Kind of talking it up a little bit already. I don't even know if it's going to work, but yeah, it will look super cool if it does work. Kind of based on the fact that this kind of bird style logo here, that is the logo of the Mockingjay, which is Katniss's kind of title as the leader of the rebellion, or the figurehead of the rebellion rather than the leader. I think she is. That's maybe coming in. Oh, we wanted to darken this, didn't we? Yeah, we wanted to darken that, so yeah, there we go. Now it's working. We want the dark to be coming in over onto this side. No, words are difficult. Do want the lighter to be on the edge of the seam here. Not too much though. I realise I'm probably not naming colours as I'm using them, but we're not going for a tutorial here. We're just going for the kind of idea, inspiration, entertainment sort of thing that I tend to do when I don't have any firm ideas for the tutorial. So yeah, if anybody does want to try and do this kind of thing, I will try and give a list of the colours in the description. Hopefully we've got that light blending in there a little bit. Working with the sepia colour there. I think we had the burnt umber. And not so much black on this side, because this is the black here, but not so much black on this side because this is where we want to have the fire glow kind of happening. I want to blend that brown into the mainly black side we've got going on there. Of course, just working quickly, trying to work quickly here to get this video out in one part, try and get it filmed in one day, not drag things on super long, because as I said, it is more of a process kind of thing, entertainment, ideas kind of thing. Do we want to bring in that kind of leather texture? Yeah, maybe we will. Back a little bit. Make it look not completely pristine. Just a little bit of texture I think we can have coming in there. Fade it a little bit with the eraser. I think that's working. We might have some highlights along the edge of that seam there that we had going on. Okay, yep, we're working, and we want to have this kind of red colour. What can we do for that lacy bit there? I don't think Katniss is a very lacy girl. Let's try and give another seam, some sort of seam in the leather working here, so we can maybe bring in the white and lighter colours on top there, the darker underneath here. Blur out that edge a little bit. Don't really want to go too dark because we are on the edge there. Don't know with the yellow. Okay, can we bring in that cream colour? That sort of idea. We don't really want to have any frilly little lacy bits. I'll bring in some line art maybe. Bring in some line art if I can get the fine liner to work on top of these pencils. There we go. Around the edge of that seam as well to make it look as if it is part of the drawing. Line art, and then I'll disguise these little lacy bits with a bit of a white highlight. I think we're good. I think we're good there. Anything outside of these lines here, I'm going to be cutting out to add in my background, so not quite as consequential. Okay, so yeah, as to blending in the light on this side, I've started rambling and gotten distracted, but as to blending the light in on this side, I brought in the cream. This is Polychromos cream. And we're making these edges look as if they're just kind of seams in the leather work. We're trying to bring in more of the reddish colour on this side because this is where the light from that background, it will hopefully look as if it is shining onto our lady, onto Katniss here. So we want to bring in a lot more of the red on this side. As we have decided to make this look a little bit of a leather, sort of rough texture to it. I'm not worrying too much about making my shading look super smooth or anything because we do want that kind of leather coming through. I can't remember exactly what her jumpsuit is made of, but I'm going for leather because I'm not copying exactly. You don't have to copy exactly as long as it's got the same kind of feeling, I think. The impression, this is what we're going for. We'll have a bit of black coming through, I think, right on the inside side of this leg. So we'll bring that in fairly roughly, again, giving that kind of leather texture. Camera. And when I've gone over the edge here, getting a bit too enthusiastic with my shading, I've just given it an outline with a black pencil there and covered any extra with the white gel pen. Where the colour will probably seep through there a little bit, but yeah, I'm not super bothered about things like that. we don't really mind things like that. Let's be blending this yellow in. Because yeah, as I've said, the background, I suppose I could give you a little sneak peek what I'm going to be using as part of the background. This is our background here. So we do really want to have the yellow, we want to have the red coming in because this will be in our background here. We want to make it look as if that's kind of shining onto Katniss. I have had it at the side of me here as I've actually been colouring, so I'm trying to reflect those colours into this outfit. Which again is also the same kind of colours we do have going on with the box art anyway. Movie posters, that kind of thing, tend to use this colour scheme. A little bit of shadow here because we do have these seams coming in where we're disguising her skirt. I'm trying to, hopefully it will work and it won't look at all as if there was supposed to be a skirt there. Darker yellow. These colours will probably be a little bit brighter than the colours in the background image. I'll just give you a little sneak peek of the kind of thing we're going to be using because that is actually from a National Geographic, which is pretty old, and the colours are a little bit faded in there. We need to have this brown blending in a little bit better there, I think. My shading with markers is definitely not the best. Maybe we should bring in a little bit of that texture. Cross-hatching, sort of rough leather texture here. That will work a little bit better. Maybe a little bit of this red, passion fruit red. Kind of suggests that's where the glow is kind of hitting and turning, sort of blending. Really, the glow is hitting us here and then blending into the darker brownish black of her jumpsuit. Maybe, possibly, that's what I'm going to tell myself. That's my excuse. The background I'm going to keep just to this little kind of area here. If I put down the pencils, I might be able to show you better. This area here, just there, kind of disappearing behind her, because I think that might work. I might be able to get that to work pretty well. So yeah, I think I've got something going. There's going to be a bit of collage going on just to whet the appetite a little bit. Yeah, the background is going to be collage with hopefully a little bit of work, pencil work on top, if I can make the pencils work on top of the paper. Yeah, I can work on top of the paper with pencils. I've just done a little test there. The paper is fairly shiny, but I think I'm going to be able to work on top of it. Again, we're going for a kind of shoulder pad situation here. Right, I think we've got something that's working quite nicely. I'll just carry on with that. Finish off this arm here, shading with those colours that I've showed you. Then we'll move on to a skin. I'll just show you the colours that I'm going to use for a skin. Maybe do a little bit of that. I don't really want it to be a full-on hours long video. I just want to show the highlights, how I did each part really. So I'll do this arm here of a sleeve and I'll catch up with you in a minute. So I've gone ahead there and I've shaded the rest of her arm. I've done most of her hair here on this side, and I've tried to keep that to the fairly light tones, because this side of her head we do have the light shining on from that background, that fiery background that I did show you. So we do want to have it a little bit lighter, but not super blonde or anything. I'm just going to pop a few highlights in. I did actually do her eyes as well, so I'll just kind of mark those in with the highlights. Add a few white highlights to the side of her hair. Mainly towards this side of her face, because this is where the light is supposed to be coming from, the background, the glowy background. We don't want to make that look as if it's glowing onto her. Again, trying to reference the box art, movie poster kind of art of Katniss. To again work with this idea that this lady is Katniss, even though it's not entirely accurate. And I think we're going to call that done there. And her suit anyway, so I think it's time to go ahead and work with her skin, and I'm just going to stick to my normal skin tone colours for that. Alright, I'm just going to bring in my normal skin tone colours to colour her skin. Not to try and experiment too much. I do want to bring in a couple more yellow, maybe bring in that camel brown over the side of her face where the light is shining, but I'm just going to keep it to my normal kind of skin tone colouring just for quickness and knowing what I'm doing instead of trying to figure out a new skin tone combination actually on camera and getting everything horribly wrong, because we are going pretty well so far. Her jumpsuit is maybe not looking quite as dark as the one in the publicity art, shall we say, the DVD covers and all that kind of stuff. I'll try and link the colours I normally use for my skin tone combination down below. But as I've said, this is not a full-on tutorial or anything. It's just fun. Maybe a bit of inspiration to switch up a page, make it into one of your favourite book or movie characters. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. But we are trying to make this side of her face to be kind of darker. And for the blushy cheeks, instead of bringing in the scarlet red, I thought maybe bringing in that fruit punch kind of colour that we've got going on for our highlights to see how well that works. This is the kind of camel brown that we do want to have happening this side of her face. Maybe gone a little bit too dark there, but we do want to have that maybe the fire shining on her face there and show that a little bit. This one is actually a watercolour pencil because I had to replace the ones that I was using so much, and they don't very often sell the actual colour pencils in the open stock on Arteza. But I'll link my normal skin tone combination down below. Any kind of skin tone combination would work any way you normally like to colour skin. If you want to give anything like this a bit of a go. I'm hoping I can make all this blend in, give her some more smoother skin as opposed to the rough texture of her jumpsuit a little bit. do want to bring in that fruit punch red a little bit, especially on the cheeks, and to bring in that kind of fire reflecting onto her face, more on this side. Cream colour, giving that more of a yellowish tone, especially on that side of her face, and then maybe blend the other side with the white, just to give a little bit of a difference to both sides of her face here. Noses, always difficult to figure out. I think that's pretty much how we would be going. Quite a deep shadow there because we do want the dramatic lighting to be going on, so I'm trying to give us some kind of more dramatic shadows this side of her face. It's not blending as well as I would really like. Maybe that's the paper. Bring in the big guns and try blending with the white Prismacolor. It's supposed to be better at blending than the Polychromos, so we'll give that a little bit of a go, and yeah, that's better. We could actually use it for white highlights as well. Note to self, Prismacolor a lot better for blending than the Polychromos. Again, I'm not being super neat with my shading here. But we do want her skin to appear to be smoother than the actual leather of a jumpsuit, so we do want to have a bit of a difference there. Passion fruit red I'm bringing for her lips there, and maybe a little bit of this deep flesh colour. I'm pretty sure in the films Katniss doesn't wear super much makeup, but we do want to have her lips stand out from her face, so we do want to bring in a little bit of a different colour there, I'm thinking. This is hazelnut brown, part of my usual skin tone set. This is kind of a smaller face than I usually actually colour, so my shading, I don't want to take it too over the top because that might make it a bit too complicated. I usually like to colour full page illustrations that are like mainly face. So I'm going to try and work to the less is more kind of idea. Just add in a few little whites highlights because I do as well want to go ahead and do that background. It's the main bit I've been looking forward to after a couple hours of colouring the main image here. Noses are difficult, but I think we've got something there that's sort of like what that would look like. Pretty happy with that, I think. Trying to bring in those yeah, I was going to add some more of this the other side, and I thought no, we do need a distinction between both sides of her face here because one is being lit by that background that we're going to bring in. So maybe we do need to bring in a little bit of this red, maybe on this side of her face, the passion fruit red. Again, trying to stick to the less is more, but we do want to have the golden glow on this kind of side of her face more than the other. We don't want that side of her face to look darker than the other, which is what's happening at the moment, so we will erase. But we do have that yellow coming through on that side, and I think what we need to do is make this side darker, the edges there, just to push it back into the shadows a little bit. Don't want to overwork it. Really overwork it, but we do want to have this side of her face looking as if it's... Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I do get more enthusiastic when things actually work, but yeah, that is it. Bringing in that white Prisma for that highlight of white on that side. That is it. Now we're looking like that side is being lit by that part, yes. Probably not totally making sense there, but yes, as I said, I get a little bit enthusiastic when things start really working. Oh, right, down tools. I'm going to put down the tools now. That is working, so I'm going to leave it alone. I've just realised I needed a little bit of a touch up down here if I'm on camera. Yeah, we need to touch up this kind of seam sort of deal we've got going down here. Okay. Oh no, I've just realised I need to do her hands. I need to do her hands before I can go on to the good bit. Oh no, so I'll quickly do her hands here. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with that now, how she's actually looking. So I'm going to zoom us out a little bit so we can get a good look at our character, how Katniss there has actually turned out before I go ahead with this background, and hopefully not spoil it all. But if I do, I want us to have a good look at what she looks like now before I actually add the background. Okay, I've zoomed us out there. She's pretty much all on the camera. And that's how our Katniss, our actual character, has turned out, which is looking pretty similar to the box art, I think. Maybe not quite as dark, and I know this camera doesn't pick up on yellow very well, so hopefully it's actually coming through as having that yellow fire kind of glow coming down this side of her. And as I said, my idea for the background is to come in with collage. So what I'm going to be doing is cutting out this part of the picture here. I will come in and draw a frame just with the pencil and ruler and get rid of all that city in the background, because yeah, I'm not about colouring all that little city there or trying to adapt that and make it into something that would resemble the film. So I will show you my idea of doing this actual background. And as I mentioned, the main part of this background is going to be collage. And I've gone ahead and pulled out a few pictures here. And this one I showed you is what I think I'm actually going to be using in the background there. And this is actually from National Geographic. It's a picture from a solar eclipse or something along those lines. It was an article about actual solar eclipses. And I pulled out a few pictures from that article. See a few more I've pulled out here, because the background of the Hunger Games, the Mockingjay box art, is to do with this Mockingjay logo being made out of flames and showing in the background there. And the bird itself looks pretty similar to what I actually ended up drawing there, if you remember, the bird in flight, which is what I'm aiming for. And what they've done on the actual box art is that they've positioned Katniss so that the bird on the logo, the wings look as if they're coming out of her back. So what I'm planning to do is something along those lines. It would be a lot easier if I could show you the actual box art, but I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to get away without getting copyright flag for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this piece of the village here with the circle. Which is about the same kind of size, I think. If not, we can make the background slightly bigger with that circle from the solar eclipse. And what I've done, I have this really ginormous book about wildlife, and I've gone into there. This is the remnants of the page. You can see I've gone into that, and I found this big page of this bird who was like raising up his wings there, and I've kind of chopped up that page a little bit. And I have come up with a little bit of rejigging, rearranging, putting some bits together. I've come up with this, which hopefully, once that is hidden behind Katniss, and all we can see is the wings and this tail, that will look as if it is actually the logo, with maybe a little bit of rejigging, a little bit of working into this kind of circle here with the pencil. We can make that look as if it is the logo for the Mockingjay, and have that coming so that the wings look as if they're coming out of Katniss's shoulders, and have the logo in the background. This is the plan, and this is the bit that I'm not entirely sure whether it will work or not. So I think what I need to do first, before I go ahead and actually cut out the background there on that page, I'm going to close that book and just use it as a kind of background there. So to try and explain this without bringing in the actual art, what the logo looks like, it has the bird there. It's all made out of gold. It has the bird, and it has like a ring kind of going around there, like a hollow circle, and the bird is kind of superimposed onto that circle. It's all made out of gold, but what I've done is I've cut out the actual bird, so hopefully that will kind of sort of merge together and look like it could be this Mockingjay logo by the time I've finished. And what I thought I could do is work into this picture of this solar eclipse here, with the pencils and give it a sort of edge to it. You can see what I'm doing there with the pencil. The paper is pretty shiny. Hopefully we can see that, and make it look as if there is kind of a raised edge to this circle going on, so that the bird itself would kind of look as if it was attached to the edge of this circle that is sort of raised up. Hopefully that's making sense. So I'm going to try and sketch in a circle here. Add a little bit of shading with the black pencil, maybe a little bit of white highlights or something. I'll make that look as if we do have a bit of a circle going on there. Put our bird on the top and get that all glued together so there's no little bits of masking tape holding it together there. Yeah, I think that's going to work. That sort of looks as if that circle, that outer edge there, is a little bit separate from the inside. So I'm going to carry on and get this to somewhere. I'm kind of happy with it. Maybe we could bring in this white gel pen, as we do have it going on in the actual picture. And most of it would probably be covered by the wings, especially up here we'd have the wings. And yeah, I probably could have just drawn a Mockingjay logo. But this effect of the sun here, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, and we could maybe bring that in. Just shading the inside a little bit darker with the passion fruit red, maybe that would work. We've got something there that I think might work, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that off and then start figuring out how to get everything stuck together, put down on that background to actually look like how I mean it to. Okay, this is kind of difficult to figure out how I actually want this background to be coming in. So what I'm going to do is basically just trim out this town we've got going on here. I'll draw a little frame around where the town actually comes to. Then we'll cut out the town, and if we need to enlarge the background we can do that. But if we want to keep it to exactly how the frame of the town is going to be, then I'll try and mark that out and get that town cut out. So we've got a piece of blank space there behind Katniss that I can pop the background into and see how we're looking. This edge of the frame I'll probably tidy up with a bit of washi tape or Sharpie maybe. Yeah, that's very roughly marked out there, the kind of area that we want to be cutting out to put our background into. So I'm going to take my craft knife and just chop out that bit of the background there so I can see what I'm looking at and whether this background idea will actually work. It may or may not. I might have to improvise another background now, although this is what I actually did bargain for, so let's see what we can do. Hopefully this paper is pretty thin because it is Amazon paper, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem just to cut out. Okay, when I looked at the video then, that was actually stopped. It stopped recording. So I'm not entirely sure how far we actually got, but what I've gone and done is cut out this background behind Katniss there. And the plan is to bring in this kind of solar eclipse sort of effect. Picture that we've got there to be more sort of like the Mockingjay logo kind of thing that we have going on in the movies and the books, so I'll pop that in there, and yeah, I think that's working pretty well. And as I said, the idea was to try and have this bird, which I still haven't stuck together, is to try and have this bird come in over the logo there to look as if the wings are part of kind of Katniss, coming behind Katniss to look as if the wings are coming out of her, if that kind of makes sense. So if I'm going to try and sort that out, I think what I need to do is stick together this kind of Frankenstein bird I've got going on here, just made up from different parts of a bird that I cut out from the magazine, his wings and his tail. And this part here is actually the back of the bird, like that, but I've cut it out and flipped it upside down and made it into the back of the bird going that way, if that makes sense. So I'm going to I'm going to tab these down so that we don't need the masking tape anymore, in theory. And yeah, I shouldn't be doing that on top of the picture, should I? Let me bring in some scrap paper and just tab down these wings maybe, so that we can have a better idea of how we're going to be looking there. It does look a little bit messy, but this part here I'm hoping will actually be behind Katniss, our little character. And we can finagle the wings somehow to make it look as if they are kind of coming from her back, and the tail as well. Hopefully shouldn't be too noticeable once we put it behind our character. We can stick that down there. It's the wings more than anything. I think that the background will be about the wings. And I'm hoping if we have the wings come out beyond the square of the background there, like beyond that little rectangle we've got going on, that will look pretty cool. This is what I'm thinking. Trying to have the wings look as if they are coming from Katniss. It will take some finagling, I think, and some trimming of these actual wings. Yep, that tail could do with coming. Ah, yes. That is it. That is what I wanted. And if the wings come out of the picture, maybe get trimmed into the spine of the book there, have the tail being actually behind there. I like it. I do like it. That is exactly how I want the wings coming. I think that second wing is kind of a little bit redundant, to be honest, but we will leave it on because, yeah, it's all kind of stuck together. We do want the tail to be somewhat visible, but not so that you can notice that little bit of sticking together we did. Yep, something like that. Perfect. That is kind of exactly what I was going for. It may not exactly read Katniss, but I think that's what we were going for. I might, as I said, bring in the washi tape. Once again, I think going to my black kind of glittery washi tape. Maybe if that will neaten off these kind of edges here. And we can give it a little bit of a trim. Yes, I'm liking it. We give that a little bit of a trim. We can have this black washi tape, neaten off those edges. Gold, I think gold maybe would have also worked there. It's probably happening in a very weird kind of order here. I'm never organised. Never let it be said that I am organised. I think maybe before I actually go ahead and finalise the circle, the sun, which is basically being covered up by wings, but hey, it's there. So I think what I will do first is stick on the wings, how I want those to be positioned, and then I can try and position this kind of sun background how I want that. Once I've actually gone ahead and done this framing of the background here, and hopefully we can have something that works. There's our edges neatened off there. I've just gone ahead and put the washi tape all the way around there. So I think what I'm going to do first, before I try and position the sun where I actually want that, is to get the wings working how I want those to work so that my bird is in the correct place, and then I can add in the sun background, hopefully not being covered up too much by these wings. We do want a little bit of the tail to be showing, as I said, but we don't want to be... Maybe we could do something like that. Yeah, that might work. Again, tail. We don't want the tail to be showing that we have actually sort of finangled and stuck things down there how we wanted it. that might work. Something like that, and then we can have a little bit of the circle coming through again on the top. So I'm going to stick down the bird, trim that into the spine of the book. Probably won't be a very straight line, but I don't really want to be cutting through the paper if I can really help it. There we go. That's what I was after. So I'll bring in a bit of this spare paper. I'll make sure that Katniss is sticking down the side here so she can stick to the bird. Hopefully this will work. I'm not super experienced with collage, especially not this kind of fancy way of doing things. And we are going to need our sun to be coming in there as well. But we'll make our Katniss. And there we go. That's how we want our Katniss. Very nickety. I'll make sure this side of the bird here, that's stuck down. Not of gluing and sticking and hoping for the best here. We'll just make sure every part of that is stuck down, and we can trim that tail. Trim that tail because that's where we want the bird to be, with the wings looking as if they're coming out of Katniss's back. In keeping with the box art, my table is getting very cluttered here, but yeah, if we just slip that sun inside there now, hopefully that will be giving the Hunger Games vibes going on there. We do want to have some of it visible in the top there. I quite like that part where it kind of flares out, so I do want that to be showing if I can. Maybe, oh yes, that is it. That's how we want it, I think. That's how we want that. So let's get that stuck down. And we can work on the position a little bit. Again, I'm forgetting the scrap paper, but we can work on the position a little bit once we have actually got the glue put down. I think we're going to be sticking a little bit over the top there. I'm going to make sure that the back here is all going to be sticking onto the background. A lot of hoping for the best. Interesting processes going on here. We're just doing this for fun. We're not trying to completely copy the box art or anything. We don't want that actually stuck to there. We want that to be stuck where we have that flare coming in there. I'm thinking, yeah, I like that. Probably not exactly how I positioned it the first time. I might bring in a little bit of my white line art down here around Katniss, just to disguise the fact my cutting out wasn't that great. Okay, I'm going to be leaving it there, I think, with most of her actually on the screen. I'm kind of in two minds whether to carry on this white outline up around the top of Katniss here and her quiver of arrows, because I want those wings to do look as if they're coming from her back as they do on the box art, and I think we've actually got that going on. Those wings do look as if they're coming from her back. I think we have enough of this sun kind of ring in here to look as if that is a circle. I was also debating whether to add in a gold outline around the edges of these wings, the tail around the outside of this kind of fiery circle there that we've got going on, to give that logo a bit more of a cohesive kind of look to it, as if it's all supposed to be all one kind of logo going on there in the background. But for now, I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. maybe think on it and do some more improvements before my finished pages video. It was all about the process today anyway, for fun and for ideas, a little bit of entertainment, maybe inspire someone to go ahead and change one of their pictures that they have into a fictional character, one of their favourite book or movie or even video game characters, which I have done in the past. It is super fun. I really do love the way she's turned out. Whether it reminds people of the Hunger Games kind of cover art or not, that's kind of probably up for debate. I think looking at it, yeah, it does remind me of the cover art, and I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out. I really do love the way that this wing comes up out of the logo, out of that rectangle we've got happening there, and hopefully it shows enough of a bird to show that that is the kind of Mockingjay logo, and the fiery kind of sun in the background might hint at that as well. So yeah, all in all, really pretty pleased with how she's turned out. It was super fun, which was the aim of the game today. And she looks enough like Katniss for my purposes, I think. Yeah, all in all, pretty pleased with that. So hopefully you've enjoyed coming along with me today through the process of changing this picture, this Zan von Zed picture here. If you have enjoyed watching the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye.